The first time Mrs. Darnell saw him, she barely recognized the boy as anything more than a quiet child trailing after her. She had been cleaning the grand halls of the Darnell estate for nearly 10 years, a small, diligent figure in a world of chandeliers, marble floors, and men in expensive suits. Her son Leo was always by her side, curious and sharp-eyed, but she never imagined anyone would see him as anything more than a servant's child. It was a rainy afternoon when Mr. Darnell, the estate's notoriously proud and wealthy owner, noticed Leo peering curiously at the massive chessboard in the corner of his study. "Boy," he called out, a hint of amusement in his voice, "do you know how to play chess?" Leo, hesitant but respectful, shook his head. Mr. Darnell chuckled, condescending sound. "Well, then, perhaps you'll enjoy a little lesson, or perhaps I should say a little joke." He gestured for Leo to sit opposite him. The maid, Mrs. Darnell, who had been wiping the grand staircase rail nearby, froze. Her heart sank. How could her son, 9 years old, be expected to play against a man who had dominated chess tournaments for decades? But Leo sat down, a quiet determination in his eyes. That spark of intelligence she had always known was there. The game began. Mr. Darnell moved his pieces with deliberate arrogance, smirking at each calculated advance. He thought he was toying with a child, a simple game to pass the time. But to his shock, Leo didn't hesitate. Each move he made was precise, deliberate, almost unsettling in its sophistication. By the middle of the game, a small crowd had gathered. The servants whispered among themselves, watching the child hold his own against the millionaire. And when Leo executed a series of moves that left Mr. Darnell stunned, the room fell silent. The man who had never been challenged in decades now stared at the boy across the board, speechless. You know what you're doing?" Mr. Darnell finally muttered, almost inaudible, as his fingers drummed nervously on the polished wood. Leo looked up, eyes calm and unwavering. "Chess is just patterns, sir, and patterns can be learned." From that moment, everything changed. Mr. Darnell's amusement turned into fascination. He began inviting Leo to play regularly, first as a casual pastime, then as a serious study. He introduced him to the world of competitive chess, connecting him with mentors, tournaments, and resources that no child from Leo's background could have dreamed of accessing. Yet the journey was far from easy. Leo struggled with the weight of expectation and the subtle ridicule of peers who could not comprehend a child so young outperforming them. He wrestled with guilt, too, the guilt of stepping into a world so different from his mother's, where every move he made seemed to separate them from the life they knew. Mrs. Darnell, despite her pride, worried constantly. She feared the world would crush the innocence out of her son. "Promise me," she said one night, as they shared a small dinner of rice and stew, "promise you won't let them make you feel like you have to leave who you are." "I won't, Mama," Leo whispered. "I'll make you proud, but I'll stay me." And stay he did. Leo's talent blossomed, but so did his humility and compassion. He never allowed wealth or status to change the core of who he was. In a way, he used chess to bridge the gap between two worlds, the opulent and the ordinary, teaching even Mr. Darnell that brilliance can come from the most unexpected places. Years later, when Leo won his first international championship at just 14, the victory wasn't just his own. He lifted the trophy with a quiet nod to the woman who had worked tirelessly, silently, to give him the life he deserved. Mrs. Darnell stood in the crowd, tears streaming down her face, realizing that her son had turned a cruel joke into a story of triumph. Mr. Darnell, now humbled, approached her after the ceremony. "I underestimated him, underestimated you," he said, voice thick with sincerity. "You raised a genius." Mrs. Darnell smiled softly. "I just raised my son. He was always the genius." The world applauded Leo, but he never forgot where he came from. The small, quiet apartment he shared with his mother. The lessons of love and perseverance she instilled in him. The boy who was once invited to play chess as a joke had grown into a man who proved that talent, when nurtured with love and integrity, can transcend every expectation. And in that victory, everyone who had doubted him learned a valuable truth: brilliance doesn't belong to the wealthy or the privileged. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, in the heart of someone who simply believes in themselves. And in the people who believe in them.